live on YouTube as well. Alright. So yep, here we are. We are in 1.1 again. Today, we're going to actually make some progress on the factory. So yesterday, we sort of got very much... the entire day got consumed with testing 1.1 stuff, which is good. That's basically what I wanted it to be. But we do have to actually move the factory forwards at some point. So, today we are going to automate high-speed connectors. It's something that I probably could have done a while ago, but I'm going to do it now. So, first of all, let's load up the blueprint designer and load up our brand new blueprint that we spent all day yesterday working on. And also, this is going to consume so much encased industrial beams because it is 6 lanes of Mark IV belts all the way through, which is probably overkill, but you know what they say, there's no kill like overkill. Alright, so, high-speed connectors, right, that's what we're doing. So, we are going to be importing rubber and petroleum coke, because we have factories for those already, and it saves on having a whole refinery set up in here, which means that this can be solid only, which is great. So we need to make cables and quick wire. And there's only one recipe for each of those, so we're going to bring in probably iron ingots and deuterium ingots. So we're going to be using 4 of these. Actually, let's get up to this floor, which is technically like the official input of it. And I realized I did make a bit of a minor flub on this, is that those splitters on the bottom floor can't actually be used because the first level of the factory only has access to these, because this goes up and not down. But it's not really a problem. This is just how I've been doing it anyway, so could have had some extra convenience, but we don't. It is what it is. Alright, so we have these 4 inputs. So the first thing we need are the circuit boards. So let's just get... hopefully this should
It's good to
be
see you
easy.
build.
Yes, thank you, Ada. Oh, what? Oh, that's the wrong one. That's the merger. This is the splitter. So we need to actually conveyor lift that down and in. And conveyor that down and in. And this is electrode circuit boards, 3.75 per minute, right? That's how many we need for this. Yes, 3.75 circuit boards per minute. Alright, so that's one thing down. The next thing is... let's see, we need a constructor that is making... ooh, we can make deuterium wire, actually. And that would reduce the amount of things we need to import, and also iron ingots are sort of sketchy right now, so yeah, let's do this. Let's do deuterium wire. And how much cable do we need? It's 2 to 1, and we need high-speed connector. So we need 37.5 times 2, so this would be enough. 37.5 times 2. Yes, I could have figured that out. Alright, so that is that. And then we have a constructor. It's going to have to be a director manifold, or technically not manifolded, but technically this is going to be load balanced, but you know what I mean. So this will be 37.5 divided by 2, 18.75, and 18.75. And so then we just take a splitter, stick it there. You can be a straight belt, that'll be fine. Make it look slightly nicer. Not that it hugely matters inside of the factory, but you know, may as well. And this can't be Mark 1 belts because it's going to be outputting 75, so that has to be Mark 2. The rest of these can be Mark 1. Then we'll need one merger for this, so we'll not be wasteful there. Alright, so that is cable check, circuit board check. Now we need quick wire, and we need 210. Jeez, oh, okay. How much does a constructor get? 60? Alright, so 210 divided by 4 is manageable, so we're going to need 4 constructors of this. Alright, let's at least do this hook up. Alright, so that is all hooked up. The only thing that's not hooked up is the Caterium wire, which we should be able to fit downstairs by the manufacturer. So before we do that, let's take this. Is the wait, let me comprehend. Alright, this is where the input has to go. So let's put a floor hole there and send that down through it. So that will take our output from the bottom floor. And then we take the spare Caterium, split it off. I guess put it back there since it won't be in the way of anything there, probably. Alright, and how much Caterium ingots do we even need for this? It's 12 for 60, so 12 times 4 is 48. 48 plus 10-ish is 58, so it's going to be less than a single belt of Caterium ingots, so Mark 1 belts are fine. So now we need to go downstairs and add in the Caterium ingot production, and also we need to put these in for that, and that, so that once we do go downstairs we can also set up final assembly. So let's hop down, and we get in here. Alright, so this is the Caterium ingots. So we're going to bring it down, and where are we going to be able to fit these constructors in? Probably just like this. Can a splitter fit in there? Yes, it can. So let's try to get... Okay, now that's actually not going to work. Maybe if I make this face this way and I put this first splitter in immediately, then... Alright, well, we need a manufacturer in here at some point. So let's try to figure out, that can go like there. We could shift it a little to the left, but something like that. And so we need to use pretty much just this additional space here. Although maybe... Alright, here's an idea. If we put the manufacturer over on this side, something like this. If we put it something like there, and then that's enough space there, we don't really need any. So if we put that manufacturer there, then we have all of this room to do our constructors. Alright. It's going to be a bit dicey, but I think this should work. So we have mergers in the back. And we don't need one there, because it's the first one. So we merge all of these up. And set them to quick wire. At how much did we need? High-speed connectors. We need 210 per minute. 210 divided by 4 is 52.5. 52.5. And we will do the old copy-paste trick. Alright, so now we have that. We need to make these belts fast enough. And now we just need to get all of... Alright, now the next thing we need to do is hook this input into those. So if we do something like that... and that, then this splitter can go there, and this one can feed into this line over here. Alright, so that's all of that done. Now we just need to take all of these and hook them up. And we only need 3 of these outputs. So, wait, this has to actually go down a ways. Does this line up perfectly? No, it doesn't. Does this line up perfectly? No, it doesn't. Alright, what if we have it go over this way and then down again? Alright, and then we can skip that one and get in there. So that's one. And then these last two are coming in from further away, so they should be relatively easy. We just need this to come down on the wall. And I have a quick little mini lift there. And that goes into that. And then that comes around and in. And that is high-speed connectors all set up. And it needs Caterium ingots, which I'm pretty sure I have automated. And it needs rubber and petroleum coke, which I definitely have automated. So yeah, this is done. Now I just need to power everything up. And once I have high-speed connectors, I'll be able to make Mark III power lines, which will be mighty convenient. Alright, so that is this whole floor set up. Now we have to go upstairs. Where's the exit? It's going to be somewhere very inconvenient. Alright, I actually just cannot find it. Wait, there it is. Behind these. Alright. So now we take the power line up to the top floor. And we power all of these guys on. 2, 3, 4. Alright. And then we just bring the power line over to right there. And I believe that that works. Alright, let's get out, save this. Hang on, we have to actually check how much it uses first. So this is 15 rubber, 30 petroleum coke. And this is 9.375 Caterium ingots. 0.375 Caterium ingots. Which just goes into the cable. And then we have the quick wire, which we're going to have to figure out. Actually, just what's the ratio for quick wire production? It's 1:5, and we need 210. So 210 divided by 5 is 42 Caterium ingots. Plus 42 equals 51.375. Alright. That's a nice quick factory. And we label this high-speed connectors. And it's 15 rubber, 30 petroleum coke, 51.375 Caterium ingots to 3.75 high-speed connectors. That's not how you spell connectors. Alright, so we saved that blueprint. And actually, hang on. There's one thing I want to do, which is write down which input goes to which. So when looking at it from the side with the inputs, the petroleum, coke, and rubber are the right two, and the deuterium is third from the right. Alright. Input 1. So I'm just going to mark down which inputs they are. Input 3. Output 1. Yep. Confirm that. Clear the designer, and yeah, I think it's something it's very much not happy about with that. Okay, I need to clear inventory space. So cable is not necessary. I don't need that many iron plates. I don't need these on me. I have dimensional storage for that. Alright, so we have that. Now let's go set it up. And this will be the first factory in the new section of the city. And we'll probably... I really need to make a spreadsheet of the various inputs and outputs, because I think I'm already not making enough rubber. Although I think I might technically have enough rubber, but not enough fuel production. Alright, so let's head out here. Let's take this section that I was working on as a trial and stop it being temporary and just make it permanent, as one does. Alright, where on earth is a free power pole in this economy? Alright, you have some. Alright, so now we get over here. And we need to finish off this grid area. Oh, and we need to upgrade the floor tiles in our hotbar and the truck stops in our hotbar. Alright. Easy to place. Now we run the foundations around, somehow not in Zoop mode yet. And then this goes up. This road needs to continue on forever. And cycle around there. And that gets placed in. And it's off center. Really? Why did you even let me place it like that? Alright. And then that's just not centered on the right block entirely. Alright, we got it right. Eventually. It's going to be very nice when I have the hover pack and I can look down upon this stuff from above. Alright, so our truck stops. Here we have two inputs for, say, rubber and petroleum coke. or an input and an output. So we just need to put this guy in. And it doesn't have the nice walls that the other one has, but that's fine. I'll fix that eventually. Yeah, it is Satisfactory day. Actually, I think... Hang on. It's Wednesday, right? I'm not confused. Yeah, it's Wednesday. So it's... Technically, yesterday was the one that was supposed to be Magic Day, but I switched that to Satisfactory because obviously 1.1. So yeah. That's what happened there. Yeah, I didn't want to go the day of the big release with like playing a completely different game for no reason. You know, that seems silly. All right, so we have this, and now we just put down our high-speed connectors blueprint. Why are you doing that? Alright. Is this right? No. This is the way it's supposed to be. Yep. Alright. Gosh, these factories are a lot bigger than the old ones, and I think also quite a fair bit more expensive. Yeah, 5x5 versus 4x4, you know, it makes a big difference. It's like, what, 4x4x4 is like 64 total square meters, and 5x5x5 is like 125 total square meters. So yeah, it's literally twice as big, although not in any particular direction. All right. So let's take these. Let's take these and pop them up. And I think this, yeah, you know, minor differences when you're cubing it have a major impact. That's for sure. Alright. So that will be the rubber and petroleum coke. This one will be the cacterium. And there we go. Alright, now I just need to attach a power pole to something, and I think I made one visible in there. I'm pretty sure that's a power pole behind that conveyor wall. It is, but it won't let me reach it from out here. Oh well. Let's just get in. Grab that. Hook them all up. Alright, now we just need to drive the factory carts. Will be fine for this. Alright, so this left one is the rubber and petroleum. And I have no idea where those things are relative to me. Once I have crystal oscillators, I can make giant billboards and be able to find stuff easily. Alright, is this petroleum coke? Alright, this is petroleum coke, and I think that means that this is rubber. Alright, cool, it's right here. That's convenient. I just realized I could have just started this loop on that side, but whatever. Alright. Equipment workshop. Let's make some more factory carts. And we're going to have to clear up even more inventory space for them. What do we not need here? Don't need this rubber. We don't need 2 packaged water. Alright. Then kick that down. And so I think the plan is going to be for the individual carts. Hang on. I actually do want this to be walled off, just so that any enterprising factory carts don't get any funny ideas. Yes, I do have larger vehicles. The fuel use means that, like, if I can use a factory cart, I will, and with resources of like 15, 30, and 9, there's no real reason to go big here. But yes, I do have tractors in the base running around, and it should theoretically be big enough for trucks to work as well. But yeah, factory carts are just more convenient for small quantities. Yeah, my heavy modular frame production would never function at all without tractors, so it's just necessary. But if the resources are small, factory carts are just more convenient. Alright, it does this again. I don't know why it always does that, like the first time. So we load the cargo, we drive around. I want to stay in the right half of this little mini lane. Alright, and on this new part of the factory, we have these barriers to separate the lanes. And the old part of the factory doesn't have those, so... Alright, it's not this one. It's this one, I believe. Alright, I'm stuck in traffic. Oh gosh, which one is the actual rubber? I think this one. Oh, it is petroleum coke, not rubber. Alright. Then we get out onto the road. And we're going to have to fix that because we spun out. Alright, and then we drive up this way. And we turn in there. Alright, then we delete that node, but it didn't even use this node, so hang on. Alright, it apparently just didn't work, so that's cool. I wonder if that's going to be a problem. Alright, so we have that. And it's not recording for some reason. Factory cart, please stop being the way that you are. Start recording. Drive forward a little bit. Alright, I think that worked. We're going to drive the path again. And then we might have to update the... We might have to update to put a barrier in between those two sides. That might solve the problem. Oh, wait. I missed my turn. Hang on. We can save this. We go here. We go up here, and then loop around here. And then we drive back. Please. Factory cars are not easy to control, that's for sure. Alright, now we can drive all the way back. And hope that it worked this time and it stopped at the places I wanted it to stop at. Alright. Well, it's decided to stop at the one on the left. Which I guess is technically fine. I guess. But we're definitely going to need to fix whatever's causing that, because that is going to cause issues. For sure. Alright, I don't know what that was, but it's not a big enough deal for me to fix. And then we stopped there, and apparently, yeah, this path has been a mess. Yeah, I think I saw that they did make slide jumping even faster, which is nice. Do I stick with this, or... No, hang on. I'm going to see if I put... No, I'm not going to be able to fit a road barrier in here because theoretically tractors and trucks might need to access this. Alright, this is something I hadn't thought about when designing this. So maybe we should be able to make them further apart, at least. Like, what if that's there? There's still enough space for a conveyor lift, and if you really get sneaky, you should be able to fit in a second. So we can power it on, do the same thing, push this one further back. And that looks good to me. So if we have it like that, then there's more space for it to be clear which of the two we want to visit. Now we still need to delete this path and try again. But it should work better this time, and we're going to have to update the truck stop blueprint with all of that. Alright. Please work. Why? I'm losing my mind here. Please, just let me drive the stupid path. Alright. It worked this time. Alright, then curve around here. We go out here. And then we get into the old factory part, which I'm going to need to renovate with the barriers at some point, but I don't know. There's just so much stuff that needs to be done. drive in there, we load up. And we loop around. And then we make it back in, and it should be fine. Alright, so let's just not spin out at the last moment. Alright. Now let's just quick check that the portions in the old factory didn't stop at any unexpected stops. Let's see, it stopped there. And alright, we're good. Now we can save that and get petroleum coke to the high-speed connectors. Gosh, you can really feel the increased slide jump speed. Alright, so we save this as petroleum coke to HSC. Enable autopilot, hide path nodes, and off you go. Set that to unload, of course. Alright, and then we also need rubber, which is right next door to petroleum coke. So we're just going to wing it. Alright. Start recording. Drive forward. It does that. Of course it does. Alright, we're going to have to see. I'm not entirely sure which of the stops I stopped at there. So let's move along. And I believe this is the rubber here. And it looks like this is the rubber stop. So let's get that. And then I don't know about this path. It seems a bit sketchy. Seems like it might cause a deadlock at some point. Turns out manual driving is faster than automatic driving, so that's interesting. Alright. So we record that path. We loop around the outside. And then up this way. Gosh, you're really zooming, huh? Alright. It goes into this, which is the rubber. Cool. And then don't want to stop here for whatever that is. Probably doesn't want rubber. And then we come back. And we power that on. And we save this as rubber for HSC. Save, enable autopilot, hide path nodes, and off you go. Alright. That's 2 of them done. Although we're probably going to need to actually increase rubber production in order for this to work. But, I don't know, we'll do that at some point. Before we do that, let's get this up. And attach it into the proper thing, which is there. Alright, we do have petroleum coke showing up. The last thing is deuterium, which I believe is also in this general vicinity. this... Oh, no. Oh, it's a catastrophe. Okay. Something has gone horribly wrong. We have empty canisters on a line which is supposed to be carrying water. Okay, that is possibly the worst thing I've seen in my entire life. We're going to need to figure that out. God, it could be anything. Like, there's genuinely no, like... I'm going to have to just sit around and watch and try to catch it in the act. Like, catch something dropping off canisters. Like, did you just drop off canisters? No. Alright, so now I need to clear out all of these canisters from inside. Well, this is the risk of using lots of transportation. Sometimes this happens. And this is going to be awful to fix. I wonder how long ago that happened. Alright, did you put canisters in? No. Did you try? No, okay. Well, I'm gonna have to sit here and look at all of these incoming factory carts and see if they're carrying canisters or water. Alright, do you have canisters? Oh, wait, that's not what I meant to do. Please, just let me check your inventory. Empty. Alright. That's fine then. Still no canisters in sight. Gosh. If this was like a weird one-time thing that isn't a consistent problem, how long am I going to sit here and look at it before I figure that out? That's concerning. Alright, did you drop off canisters? No. Did you try? No. What about you? Any canisters here? No. It was like significant quantities of canisters. Actually, it's probably a factory cart. Probably not a tractor, but we'll check all of them. No, I don't want to get in. I want to... So... No, I want to check your stupid inventory. Stop messing around. Alright. Cool. You are good to go. Go about your business. Alright. Nothing suspicious in that one's inventory. And this whole thing is not even running at all. Why is this not running now that I've fixed that problem? Is there like one more canister in here? Yeah, there is. Alright. Well, we take the belt out and we put it back in. So at least it'll be running. Alright, and now real quick. Still no canisters. Are you the suspect? No. Oh boy. What could have caused this? Are you the suspect? No, I'm generally just not seeing any suspicious factory carts. Yeah, like you're putting in water. And you're gonna put in water. Actually, it doesn't seem like you did much of anything at all. Alright. Let's assume for a second that this was an isolated incident. Actually, here's a concerning thought. Oh gosh, if this happens, then we are completely screwed. But what if it's getting mixed up back here? That's all water, that's all water. This is all canisters. Alright. Well, we've been staking out that location for a while now. And what was it? Was it this one, I think? Alright, we've been staking it out for a while, and there are no canisters to be found. As far as I know, yes. They are purely aesthetic. You can drink from them, though. So that's nice. But yeah, they don't actually do anything. They just look nice. Alright. With how much canisters were in there, you'd think it would be like a significant number. Yeah, we've seen the same vehicles coming back a billion times. So whatever the problem is, it must have been resolved, I guess. Alright. Yeah, and the Caterium supply is just starting to recover. So yeah, things are starting to cook along in here again. Still no canisters, so that's nice, I guess. Alright, and then the Caterium is right here. It's actually literally the closest. I want two of these in my hand. Alright, so let's plop down a factory cart. And drive this route. We'll start from here just to spice things up a little bit. Alright, so we load from there. Then we cross the road and get into the lane. And then we drive in here. And we loop out and around. And onto the road. And now we just have to get into the checkered flag. And there's really no room for anything to have gone wrong there, so let's just label this not capitals ingots to HSC. Save that, enable it, hide path nodes, and off you go. And I need to get over there real quick to turn this into an unload station. And that should be that in terms of getting this technically functional. There's still whatever crisis caused the canisters to be like that, but who knows what caused that. Alright, now let's take the output up a little bit. And put this in. And we want a smart splitter. Which, sure, I guess it's going to do it like that. I don't care to fix it, so actually I do care to fix it, because that needs to be the output. Alright. Smart splitter. Facing that way this time. And it doesn't line up. What I get for standing at a funny angle. That's not a smart splitter, that's a regular splitter. Gosh, I am struggling today. Really? It has a problem with that? Okay. What if it's just minimum? Why are you so... Alright, it was in curve mode, which is unnecessary, which is relatively strict on placement. Alright, so then we go center any right overflow. And then we take this belt around. And I think that is connected to the right thing. It might be connected to the fuel, but we have that. And now we have, oh boy, our last Mercer sphere. We're gonna have to go collecting. So that is all set up. That's connected to that and not the wrong thing. Now let's go back to Caterium and see what's going on over there. Because I think the answer is something very funky. Alright, no more canisters in sight. So I suppose it's probably been fixed. Now the computers and high-speed connectors are competing for Caterium, I believe, at this point. Which is not ideal, but sadly it's just going to be like that. How much Caterium ingots is this making? Oh, is making almost none. It's making 24. Alright. We're going to need to scale this. Now, there are two options for scaling this. We could tear it down and replace it with a fancy new one that auto scales. Or we could use vertical splitters to make it like semi-automatically scale. And I think that's what I'm going to do. So let's get pure Caterium ingots. build mode blueprint. And let's put 2 more of these up for now. The world's not going to break if I have 4 of them. It'll be fine. What could possibly go wrong? Alright. Now, we... Right, how did I do this last time? I've done this once before, and it was a little bit more complicated than I'd like. So... I think, like, the inputs had... The lifts had to be, like, over here or something. So let's... No, this has to be... Actually, we can have it like that, and like that. So now they're offset horizontally. So now we run this over here to the nearest one. And we need the belt to go like as far up. Alright, so this needs to be... Hang on. I'm trying to remember how I did this. Alright, we don't want that, because that's going to hook into something inside and cause all sorts of problems. But what we need is for each of these to have a belt that goes like all the way up. And that this includes the bottom one, so let me take these out. Alright. So if we have like that, like that, like that, and like that. Wait, these two have to be inverted because otherwise they're just gonna intersect. Yes, I could do that. The problem isn't the infinite distance with the lifts. The problem is just like getting the lifts in the right spot. So let's see. This has to be the closest in one, right? So let's say we have that lift going all the way up there. Then we put a merger there and attach that in. Wait, hang on. Okay, almost, but in reverse. So this needs to be a lift that goes down from... Oh, will this work? Because I need the eventual output to be... Oh god, I didn't mark which one goes to which outputs. Like, I need the eventual output to be that, right? conveyor lifts being what they are, it's going to be a bit tricky. Maybe the floor hole is a good idea. Alright, let's say that is a floor hole, because this will just, if nothing else, allow me to put in a conveyor lift however I want, pointing whichever way I want. So then this conveyor lift goes down. And if we put a merger in, then that will go down. Alright, cool. And then we just have to take this and send that to that one, because this is the Caterium. And now we can just continue on putting mergers in all of these, assuming that they actually line up properly, which is kind of a tall order when you're doing it from this far down. And then we just have to... Wait, the order is all messed up, right? Okay. There's going to be some clipping in order for this to be flush with the wall. I could bring them out so that they're not flush with the wall, but I think that would just end up looking worse anyway. Also, what happens if I take that out? That looks fine. That looks better, I would say. Alright. Clipping versus being flush with the wall. These are the questions. Okay, what if... I have an even better idea. Hang on. Let's try it with this one. So what if they face directly out like that? And then we have... this coming along down there. And this goes down. Alright. Wait, I think I may have figured out how to do this properly. So this goes down to there. Then this... Alright. Obviously, we need to make this work properly. So that does that. And then, if we put a merger there, then we can put the belt in there. Alright, and that is that. And now that that is in place, we take that out, replace it with this, which will go all the way up. Oh, we're going to need a ladder to climb this very, very tall thing. Alright. Something has gone wrong here, so we're gonna get rid of this because I have a better way of doing it anyway. So by doing this, it just takes up space directly in front of it, which is very, very clean looking, I think. Let's get rid of all of those mounts. So, to recap, we have this belts down to here, I guess. Wait, no. This belts out one, and then down to here. This belts out one, and then merges in. And then put that belt in there. And attach that into that. Alright. That's huge. Now we just need to do 2 more of them. And scale this the rest of the way up. Okay, so that and that come out. And they go out like that. And same thing here. That and that come out. Then this runs down past the input, and maybe it can be close enough like that. And these are splitters because they're the opposite, because these are inputs instead of outputs. And I believe this left one was the Caterium input. So let's hook that up there. Right, but we also need to remove these. And instead of them being in there, they go up past the next floor, so we can do it again. Then we just need to do this one more time. So this comes down to here. We get that splitter in. We get that in there. And we attach that up. Alright, so this, then we take that out once it's done and boost it up as far as it'll go. Alright, now we need a ladder.
How aesthetic.
Thank you, Ada. Very cool. Yeah, Ada insults your building now, by the way, so that's fun. Alright, so now we get up here. And this is the second floor. And so these two get mergers. These two get splitters. And they have to be lined up properly. Are they not going to line up properly? That's fine. Then we can take these out and replace them. Why is this the way that it is? Why can't these just line up slightly better than they do currently? Alright, maybe if we... Alright, it can't be nudged. Very cool. Maybe if we... Oh wait, it was in curve mode that whole time. Maybe that mattered. Is it? This is so annoying. Why will you not just simply work? There has to be some combination of heights where they belt in properly. Alright. It's so close to working and being beautiful, and yet it just simply refuses to. So that's fun. And this can't be nudged either. No, of course not. Maybe if we... Okay. What alternatives do I have? How do I fix this? Like, why do they not line up properly? They should simply line up properly. Maybe if I sent them through floor holes, that would force them to line up properly. But, I don't know. It really seems like this should just work. You know? Like the stupid little bar is showing up and everything. Okay, here's an idea. Maybe if I put the merger up there and I do that. Alright, that seems like that might have worked. I'll have to do it with something that actually has resources going through it. But if we do that, then yes, it works. Alright, we have figured it out. You just have to snap the lift to the splitter and not... Can you blueprint conveyor lifts? Yeah, but like, now that I figured this out, it's relatively simple, and I think with the way it has to snap in, I think it might not like work properly with what's it called, blueprint auto connection. Alright, so that is that. Now I just need to power this all up. And wait, are these lifts still not connected properly? Yeah, okay, they're not actually snapped to the holes. Just these two are having the problem, it seems. Alright. Why does it seem to have worked perfectly for these two, but not those two? Please explain. Oh. Why are you like this? This is so frustratingly close, and yet it simply categorically refuses to work. Also, why does it give me the stupid line even when it's not at all lined up? Oh, that might have lined up properly? Nope. Okay. Is there any alternative? Is there anything I can do to get these to hook up? Maybe if I just move these splitters further up on... Maybe if I do that, it'll magically work for some reason. I don't know why it would, but... You never know. Okay, now that's refusing to snap at all. Why? This is very frustrating, but I genuinely don't know why these aren't working. Like, these seem to have worked perfectly. Okay, maybe... Maybe if we do some horrible, janky... Maybe if we do it like this, and we take that out, then we can connect... Then we can connect those in. But no, it still doesn't fit. But maybe... Maybe if I have these facing like that, then I bring that up like that, and we can just... Alright, it's gonna have to be closer to lined up than that, but I think this might work. It's horribly annoying, though. So if I do it like this, then that... Sure. At this point, we'll take it. Alright, at at this point, we'll take anything. And then we are going to need to do this here as well. Oh! Actually, this is an easier way. I can just use that side, and then there's going to be a gap, but then that can just clip through that and work. Alright. It's annoying, but it functions. So we finally got there. Alright, now we have this level set up. We just have to continue carrying this up. So we get rid of the conveyor lifts on top. Actually, I'm gonna do a save real quick because it's starting to get laggy, which means I think we're probably gonna crash eventually. Like whatever problem caused that crash that we had yesterday clearly has not been fixed. Unsurprisingly, considering it's been literally a day. Alright, so we drag these up to the top. Alright, so we can fit the mergers in there. Wait, is this even easier than I thought? Yes, not quite that easy, but these need to be like there. And then it's literally just as easy as that. The whole multiple conveyor left thing was just completely a mistake. Completely unnecessary. Alright. It's actually very simple. Like, once you have it set up, all you have to do is that. So let's extend the ladder up. And we're gonna have to power this level on as well. So let's get in here, grab the power line, attach it to the outside. And then down. Alright. We move up again. And once again, we take the top half of the conveyor lifts out. We extend them up hilariously far. And then we put in the mergers, which go there and there. And then put in the splitters for these ones, which go there and there. And now we power this on by connecting it to that wall outlet we put down there. Alright. And then we're going to need to upgrade the speed of the main line because it's now going to be running much, much faster than it was. So let's make the inputs mark for belts. And, oh yeah, the lag. The lag is coming. The lag is coming for us all. Yeah. I'm gonna manual save again. Like, it is... I can feel the crash coming any minute now. I'm just bracing myself. I don't want to lose all that much progress to it. Alright. Now, we need to figure out... So obviously, up here is not the current... yeah, it's going to be these tiny little belts down here, which I'm going to need to upgrade. The outputs don't need to be upgraded quite as badly, but... Alright, so that is an improvement. We need to carry the increased speed up the rest of the way. Alright, that's another level done. And we should probably be almost good at this point. We're also going to have to upgrade the path back down, though. So let's just do some of that preemptively. Alright. Rest of the way up. And these belts up here are pretty much just for show, like they don't actually do anything. So this should be sufficient for this floor. And then the next step is going to be getting the outputs up to speed, which will be a lot easier because the outputs are half the speed. But probably make them Mark 4 belts anyway, just because like I have the encased industrial beams, may as well use them. Alright, then we can get down here. And upgrade these output belts. Alright, once I finish these upgrades, I'm going to save again, and then I think restarting will fix the problem. Alright. I'm trying to squint up and see, but it'll be easier just to check manually and verify that the top is working. So if the top floor is receiving all the resources it needs, then all the lower floors should be as well. So let's get up there and check. as long as we just do a quick check. Yep, that's outputting something, which means it's working to some extent. This is outputting something. Yep, it's at 49% because it's just started. Same story here. Alright, everything looks good, and yeah. This was basically a proof of concept of scaling factories that already exist, and you gotta kind of figure out how to do it. But once you've figured out how to do it, it's quite easy. So yeah, we have this now. And now you should have a much more significant supply of Caterium. How many floors of Caterium do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 floors total. And each floor is like 24, right? So 24 times 4 is 96 Caterium ingots, which should be more than enough. Now, the question then becomes water and Caterium ore. Do we have 96 Caterium ore? Yeah, probably. It'll be fine. Water might be an issue, though. In fact, water might be an issue, and there's a very high likelihood we're going to have to run tractors to here, because otherwise it's not going to get enough input. But the point of this is to increase Caterium production, and it has succeeded, at least in the short term. Now let's run over here to the high-speed connectors and see how they are doing. We've got plenty of petroleum coke, absolute zero rubber, and absolute zero Caterium. Did I not set this to unload? Oh, I haven't set this to unload. There's the lack of rubber problem. So you have rubber. You should have unloaded it here. I'm going to do that manually. And then the Caterium is being mistakenly input here. No. Alright, this cart yes, it is bringing in Caterium. But it's okay. It's stopping at this stop, which is set to unload. So that's the problem. Alright, well, the easiest way to fix that would be to just first of all, set this to unload. So that I'll just swap which cart does what, because this way I won't have to worry about re-driving cart tracks, which is way more annoying than anything else. Alright, so we take that down, we attach that to that, and we take that down. We set this to load. And we put up that. And attach it in. And high-speed connector production should be online now. Yep, there comes the Caterium. And we're going to hang around here and see if high-speed connectors come out the other end. And if they do, they should go straight into the dimensional storage. Got a bit of a hiccup there. All right. How much Caterium does the computer's blueprint use, actually? Like, am I producing enough? Whereas computers is 10.5. So yeah, 96 Caterium is what we're producing now, which should be more than enough. And of course, the question will be, can it actually sustain that, or is my entire water system going to come crashing down? And the answer is probably the latter. I think I probably have enough Caterium, although I might not even, but I'm going to need to expand water production. Alright, so I think tomorrow off stream I will run through and take a tally of everything and make a spreadsheet. And then the day after that, then we can go in and start balancing everything out so we have enough production. Now, are there any high-speed connectors coming out here? Right, so the way I've done this, like, we will waste technically a small number of high-speed connectors because they're going all the way down to the basement. But, alright, currently no high-speed connectors. Let's get in there and see if it's working or if I've managed to pipe things into the wrong belts. Alright, we have cables. That's going at 100%. That's going at 100%. This is going at 100%. And yeah, this is going to manifold for ages because of how I've done this, so we need to fill up all of these with Caterium ingots before the bottom floor will get enough. But it'll still get some, so it'll still run and make high-speed connectors occasionally while it's warming up. Right. That's the sub-basement. The primary bottom floor is in here. And it is, of course, missing quick wire. Alright, well, gosh, the poor manifolds this Caterium ingots are going through is extreme. But it is working. Our first high-speed connector is in production now. And is there any way I can... Oh my god, I forgot to hook up. I forgot to even hook up the output. So that's a thing that I needed to do. Well, easy enough. Boom. Done. Alright, so we did that. Obviously, I've done everything up to that point, so it's not exactly a huge problem. But it is something I'm going to need to fix. Although, I don't know if I'm ever even going to need more high-speed connectors than this. I don't remember what they're used for. I don't remember. There's probably some optional recipes that can use them. So I might want a decent supply since they're relatively straightforward to make. But yeah, we have high-speed connectors producing now. And we're just going to have to wait for ages for the Caterium supply to... Well, first of all, to stabilize it all. Alright, so that's high-speed connectors done. And yeah, this is interesting. So this is outgoing transfer rate of like 60 something. That should go up to like 90 something eventually. I'm going to do one last check that the top floor is working properly. Because again, if anything is broken, it would be the top floor. But it looks like the lines in are saturated. Yep, that's at 100%. That's at 100%. This is at 53%. Why? 24 water, 24 water. Oh, this is just a typo. That's supposed to be 48. Yeah, that'll do it. All right. I have to go in and fix that typo on all of the floors. All the packagers need to be fixed. So let's run in and fix them. Alright, one more. See, I was using a recipe from something else, I guess, and didn't change the packager speed correctly. So that is resolved, and that's a good clean plus 16 caterium ingots per minute. No, it's more than that, isn't it? It's 8, 16, 24, 30... No, it is 16 caterium ingots per minute that we're getting there. Assuming that the supplies of everything are sufficient, and I just accidentally picked up packaged water. Alright, there's a dismantle crate here which has all sorts of junk in it. Do I need hundreds upon hundreds of plates? Not really. Alright. I do want to have some free inventory space. Let's clear out these stupid canisters and deuterium ore. And deuterium ingots. I don't need random space elevator parts. I don't need 2 types of fuel that I don't use. I don't need 100 water. Let's see here. I don't need 48 rotors. Computers are still valuable enough that I don't really want to just throw away 24 of them, but maybe that's a mistake. I want hundreds upon hundreds of encased beams because I use those for a lot of my factories now, and I don't want to ever run out. I'll set that to take from inventory before depot. That will probably solve some problems. Alright. Now if we check. Yes, high-speed connectors, 2 out of 300. We are starting to accumulate them. Alright, so with that done, the next thing I want to do is power. So max consumption is well above production capacity. We're still fine, but I would like to increase it some more. And I would like to do fancy 1.1 shenanigans to make it easier to build. So let's get down to the blueprint designer. And I think actually, instead of loading it in, if we just straight up try to place this in. And then nudge it to approximately the back corner. Oh. Alright. We didn't crash there, but that's surprising to me. So, okay. So we have all of this, and now there are basically two things I want to change about this. The first is, well, not even with this necessarily, but it is going to affect this. I want to double this, because now I'm going to have enough space to put 2 fuel generators in a single blueprint. So let's just go through, make that doubled, which is going to make this doubled. Which is going to make this doubled. And then the other machine is on the second floor with a door all the way up at the top. No, it's this door. So then this packager doubled. And speaking of things being doubled, but actually the opposite of that, this only needs like a couple canisters in it, like probably not even a full stack. It literally just needs enough for both of these to be running continuously, so 50 should probably be good. But I really don't like the inconvenience from having to fill my inventory with canisters to build these things is a lot less than the inconvenience of it not working would be. Alright, so now this setup produces 40 fuel a minute. The next thing I want to do is have the inputs and outputs. Wait. Okay. Mildly annoying because we didn't quite get it perfectly in line with the blueprint designer, which, I don't know, maybe we could have done with a half nudge, but because of that, we can't put foundations in. But we can do is put a line of walls in there. So there's going to be some clipping here, but that's fine. Now we can, the pipeline which connects these buildings when they're adjacent to each other now should auto-connect, which means if we do something like this, and something like this, right now, this has to be straight, which means lining up to here. And now we have to get out of that tiny little corner we've put ourselves in. And now we get the pipeline junctions in. And now this should also automatically tile. Alright. Then the next thing to do is bring this wall up here. Where is... Oh. I need to refuel real quick. Let's grab some of that. Alright, which of these is the polymer resin output? Looks like this one. No, it ought to be... Where is the polymer resin output? Is it this? Yes, it's this, up there, and then it is going to be that top one. Alright, so... How much power does an Awesome Sink actually use? Let me check that. Is it worth trying to save them 30 megawatts? That's like not a tiny amount. But... I don't know. How much... So this is the output. So we can bring this down there. And how do I get this to work properly? With more walls, I think. So if I make this wall go all the way up to the top, or at least most of the way up to the top for now. Then we have something like that. And we put a conveyor belt going from, say, there, and then over to there. Is that straight? Yes, it is flat. Nice. Then we bring this down. And we put a merger on that, and then hopefully this will snap, but no, of course it doesn't. So instead we will put the merger back over this way to give room for a belt to get the rest of the way over there. And let's make this like Mark II belt, I guess. Just for the sake of it being relatively quick. And now we need to go up here and expand this platform so that the roof will be large enough to fit 2 fuel generators on it. So first thing we're going to need to do is redirect this pipe to be in this corner instead. So let's do that. And it noodles up into there. And then we just make this alright, this is somewhat cursed. Yeah, so there's definite clipping going on here, but it's probably fine. So let's call this fuel generator Mark II. Mark II, which is 15 crude oil, 40 water to 40 fuel. And we save that, and we clear it, and we live. The game doesn't crash. Alright, now let's load up. We have a fuel generator. Right. So we're going to have to... Right, I think I remember how this worked anyway. So we have a round of walls going about. And relatively low walls this time. And now let's try to squeeze in 2 fuel generators, which will actually be pretty easy, maybe? I don't want to jinx it, but there's like a ton of space in here, right? So if we do it like that, that's 2 fuel generators. And then we need, right, I think last time we did it like this. So these walls don't exist, and then there's the floor hole is in there somewhere. And we stick a wall hole in there. And that connects to those 2. And then they all hook up to a power line in the corner. And we can call this Generator Roof Mark II. Generator Roof Mark II, which is 40 fuel to 500 power. I think that's how much they do. Alright. Relatively easy to clear the blueprint designer that time. Alright, now let's head out to our fuel power plant area and see if setting this up actually works. It would be very convenient if setting up fuel power would just be a couple clicks. So let's head on over and find out. We didn't. Probably not going to end up winding up hunting for Mercer spheres this time around, but maybe if we have a little bit of extra time. Right, so this was the test setup for our fuel power. Where's the actual one? Is it over this way? Or over... I simply cannot remember. Although I do see power poles running along this way, so that's promising. Let's head along here and see if we stumble across a fuel generator. Alright, follow these power lines. And there's the water source. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember the fuel generators being over this way. Alright, keep on cruising. fly straight through this waterfall. Now we make our way up this way. Ooh, is that a Mercer sphere there? Yes, it is. Alright, well, I suspect this might have been a Mercer sphere that respawned at some point when I switched game modes. Because I switched to the experimental, so that might have caused Mercer spheres to respawn. I've heard that's happened in the past. Alright, and here we are.
Was it intentional?
All that is shallow shall sing our deep song, and when the windows break the void shall be a metal grave.
Alright, so where do we want to do this? Just here, but higher up, maybe? Like a second floor would be a sensible spot for it. These conveyor lifts look kind of funky. Not sure what that's about, but not going to worry about it. So yeah, let's go up above these generators. Let's get a ladder in so that I can get up here. Alright, up we go. And we're going to have to pump the fluids up here, but that's fine. It's not that much power. Please, what? Did I just phase through the wall? Okay. We're standing on it now. And we can start building our foundation. And theoretically, we shouldn't need almost any space for, what's it called, for like adding belts and stuff in, because that should be pre-done by the blueprints. Not entirely confident that it'll actually work, but we can hope. And I am also not entirely confident that I have all the resources on me to actually build these. Alright, so let's build this and nudge it into place like that. Alright, and now we build this in build mode blueprint auto connect. And it does this again. Alright. I just need to give them a bit more space and then it's fine. Alright, that didn't go great. Did it try to place anything there, or did it just give up? Alright, so we have them straight and lined up like that. We need to bring them closer so that the belts also attach. Okay. It's really not having it. wait, it really does not want to place it. Is that potentially because I'm missing something? It is saying one more missing resource, but I appear to have all of the resources. Maybe if I go build mode default auto connect, it will be less grumpy about it for whatever reason. Alright, so those need to be lined up like that. No, it really just isn't having it. Well, this is what you get for using experimental features, I guess. Alright, it worked that time. Not entirely sure why, but it did. Alright, now let's do the little bit of logistics we need. So we need a sink, and we need to actually bring the resources up onto this platform. Alright, awesome sink there. You go down into it. And we also need to hook the power up, but I think I want to hook the power up last, just for the sake of fun. Alright, so we have to get this right. The near one goes directly into that. So the left one is crude oil, the right one is water. So let's get down here, grab a pipe of crude oil like this one over here that's not even being used for anything else. Start bringing it up. And we're going to have to do like an hour of adding pumps, but that's fine. Alright. Stick a floor hole in there. Up it goes. And then that goes into there. And then we are going to need another floor hole for this to come out of, and it's going to have to hook into some water generators. Alright, so then that goes down there. And over there. And now we just need to hook it up to like any old water pipe. So let's get a water pipe up there for it to hook up to. And let's have this water pipe have two things on it, because may as well. And then we have to get that very sneakily in through there. And now we start with the pumping. So whenever that little blue bar is, put it right before that. Are you facing the wrong way or something? Like, what's going on there? You know, I could run back to the hub and just, like, unlock the next tier of pipeline pumps real quick. Also, why do these insist on going backwards instead of forwards? Like, what reasonable pipe pump sees itself on a giant incline and, like, yes, I want to go down this. Alright. So let's start getting the water pumps powered. And it seems to be working. Wait, I need another socket to keep the power going. So that goes from there up to like there, for example. And it goes from there to that. And that. And then maybe that will get the water all the way up. Although the placement of the pumps sure has ruined my perfectly good ladder, so that's unfortunate. Let's put another wall in.
Interesting creative choices.
Thank you, Ada. No, I don't want to dismantle anything. I want to build a ladder. Alright. So that ladder can come down there. And now we just have to hop around that pump and up here. Alright. Does the water make it all the way up? Here it does. And I'll give it one more for good measure. Just because, you know, it might have to go up a little bit inside the blueprint or something. And boom. Alright, so that is water pumped into them. And then we just need to get the pumps for the oil. So let's start with one at ground level, and then one every so often on top of it. Yeah, and then that should be plenty of that. Now we put the pumps up to a power line. Five, 6. Give it another one of those little guys. And hopefully that will get that all the way up as well. And now we climb up the ladder. Alright. And And now that we've done all that work, we can verify that this is correct. That's crude oil pipeline going into something that requires crude oil. Very good. All right. And we can attach up the awesome sink as well. And now we just need to place like as many of these as we can stand to place, pretty much. Although it's, let's see, it's 40, 80. In terms of water, we have 240 water hooked up to this. So this is 80, so we can do basically another 4. So let's do that. Let's just finish off this water pipe. And then we will just finish off using this water pipe and then use the rest of it probably tomorrow, maybe we'll come back. Concrete. Concrete is going to be a problem when you build gigantic foundations of immense size. Alright, so let's head back. And if we get onto this ladder, this should take us up to the sky bridge with our, what's it called, train tracks on it. So we should be able to run along the tracks. Back home, pick up a bunch of concrete. And then we will see if our new power setup works properly. It should. I can't imagine what would break that wouldn't have broken with any of the other stuff. Maybe the pipes. Alright. This is actually a good way to check. Have Mercer spheres respawned? No. Because there was, I think, a summer sloop in there at some point in the past, but I picked it up, obviously. And it doesn't still exist, so that Mercer sphere we found earlier very conspicuously out in the open was just a conspicuous Mercer sphere out in the open. So we make our way back, we pick up canisters, concrete, iron plates, and other things should probably be fine. I guess we can also just, while we're here, unlock Mark II pipelines and make all of that work we did unnecessary with the Mark I pumps. Alright, so let's fly across this little gap here. Alright, little gap flown across successfully. And then we drop down. Yeah, look at all that inventory space we suddenly have. Let's grab some concrete. Let's grab some iron plates. We should probably grab some canisters while we're here, but let's grab 1,000 each of plastic and rubber. Well, we'll start that at least. And oh no, it's not reinforced, it's heavy modular frames. Throw those in as well. And then what do we need for these? Anything else we need in large quantities? Copper sheets. We do need our plastic and rubber, but those should regenerate quickly enough that it's not really a problem. So let's grab some copper sheets and some canisters. Alright, up we go. And yeah, you can really get zooming with the changes. Alright. Yeah, let's grab a couple stacks of that. And outgoing has dropped to 250. That's kind of suspicious, but I'm not going to question it. Yeah, okay. I am going to question it. Something has gone horribly wrong. Are these... Alright, they're starting to fill up, but there's still tons of space left. That's good. That's how we intended that to be. Now, has the canister situation that impacted... Like, it could be that a bunch of our production lines are blocked for whatever reason. Alright, so let's check the heavy modular frames, since that would be the heavy modular frames and the concrete are like the two biggest users. This is concrete. Outgoing transfer rate 0 per minute. Oh, I know what's happened. I know what has happened. The heavy modular frames factory has backed up, hasn't it? Okay. That's fine, I guess. I think next stream we're gonna fix that. But for now, I don't really care. So next stream, we're going to try to make it so that everything runs at 100% all the time, which means awesome syncs and everything. But for now, like, we have half an hour left in the stream, and I want to build some fuel generators, so we're going to ignore that for now. So let's get over there real quick. Take the train line. And yeah. Man, the people on Reddit were not kidding when they said that you go a lot faster like this. Holy cow. Alright, so it's past this. It's gonna be over here-ish, I think. Yep, there it is. Alright. Almost there. Man, what's the point of even having hypertubes if you can travel this fast naturally? What the heck? Alright. We're back over here. And now let's place some more fuel generator Mark II blueprints. Alright, I would like this to line up with the existing ones, but it's not like a huge problem if it doesn't, obviously. So now we set this to auto-connect. Get over here, we nudge it into lining up properly. And it looks good to me. Right, and now we get to do this little dance of why is it not working. All right, we placed it in. That's good. Now let's also move the pipelines around. So this is the lower one. And that goes in there. And this comes around and up there. And then the belt also goes around. We're trying to keep height on this one. And in you go. All right. So now this is 40, 80, 120, 160. So two more blueprints, and we will have 2 water extractors fully utilized. But boy, we're gonna have to place a lot of foundations to cover for it. Alright, don't mind me just casually building a gazillion foundations. Alright, so we have that. Now we just keep her going. Alright, let's hold it there. Run over, line it up properly. Move it in a little bit so that that snaps as well. And then it doesn't place. Alright, so then that is lined up properly. That's all lined up properly. And we place, and we are already short concrete and iron plates again. That's incredible. These use those guys like crazy. Okay, we just need one more. But we're gonna need more space. Alright, let's just hook this up as it is. So we need to fly up to the top and start putting in the generator caps. And they even auto-connect. That is great. So that should make this real quick and easy. Assuming we don't run out of resources, which we might. Yep, 35 iron plates, slowly ticking up. almost there. 18, 19, 20. Just can you count to 41 1 second at a time? So I think next stream either we're going to be just collecting a ton of Mercer spheres and upgrading the dimensional storage, or we're going to be making sure that we actually have the capacity for everything we're building, or potentially both. Alright. So that's all set up. They all have access to the fluids. So now the only thing left is power. And just gotta get this going. So the top level power can be connected together relatively simply because all of these poles are just out in the open. And then we connect these down to a pole right over here. And then we just have to connect all of these in as well, which is going to be ever so slightly more difficult now that you can't see through conveyor wall holes, which I don't understand why they did that, but alright, so then that gets hooked up, that gets hooked up. We bring the power along this way. And that gets hooked up. And we bring the power along this way, hook that one up. One more. Alright. I do believe that all of the power is now separated by this gap. So if we look at this, yep, max consumption of 460 megawatts in there, thousands out there, obviously. And we connect them up. And now all of those machines will start running at once, which should provide a noticeable uptick in power consumption, although it might not. And then we wait for a bit. It'll take a while to filter through because these production lines aren't especially quick, but there should be a very nice, satisfying vroom when all of the generators turn on simultaneously. So that's what I'm looking to see. Last time I did this, there was a giant spike. I want to see that giant spike. Okay, I don't understand what is going on here with the max consumption. You gotta figure out turbo fuel. You really don't. I mean, depending on... I mean, like, I'm gonna be going for fuel... Like, this is just a regular old fuel generator. Yeah. You are attempting to? Okay. So, it's pretty... Basically, you just make fuel, and then you add sulfur and coal to it, and then that's that. Like, it's relatively straightforward, but getting the sulfur and the coal can be a bit annoying. Alright. I am not seeing any generators suddenly turn on. Yeah, ratios. I can't remember what the ratios are for that. Alright. Any minute now. Yeah. It's probably not going to be too much longer, right? I want to see that giant spike of them all turning on simultaneously. It would be very, very cool. And I think it should be fine. I can't imagine anything in here breaking. Although I'm not seeing anything. I am hearing machines running in the background. Alright. I'm gonna go and just look into here. It's definitely unpackaging fuel. These swings are starting to get larger. That's maybe a good sign. So we're definitely unpackaging fuel. It just has to get to the point. Yeah, so I think what's happening here is the pipes are still filling with fuel. So if I get all the way up to the top, like... Oh, it might actually be happening now. Hang on. Let me get up here. Yeah, look, fuel is starting to fill up. Look at that. Alright, so obviously it crashes down immediately because it's still getting warmed up. But now it should stay up stably. And power was 4,900. Now it's 7,400. Good, solid, like, basically a 33-ish. Well, 50% increase, basically, right? So that's nice. Still not quite above max consumption, but you're never going to reach max consumption. Now, is this working fast enough? Is this going to be long-term stable? It looks good. So the concern would be that, like, one of these is getting more fuel than the other. But that doesn't seem to be the case. They seem to be well balanced. Alright. Another fuel power expansion done. We'll be probably doing one or two more of these, depending on how large they are. We're probably going to have to expand our fuel power generation again. Again, one or a little bit more, maybe like another, I don't know how much exactly, but then we'll get to either nuclear power or rocket fuel, and then we'll be doing that. I think I want to try out nuclear power just because I did rocket fuel in my last game, so I'll try doing nuclear power in this one. I've heard it is extraordinarily complicated, but that's the fun part of Satisfactory, is figuring out extraordinarily complicated things. Alright. So we have all this. The polymer resin is being sunk properly, correct? Yep. And there's plenty of space on the belts. Alright, so that's that. We have, what, 15 minutes left in the stream. I guess, is there any Mercer Spheres around here? There is. There's one very close, in fact. I'll go over and pick that up then. Is it not? this. This is a purple power slug, not a Mercer sphere. It's this way. Oh, it's up there, isn't it? Alright. Let's get this. And there's another one close as well.
How nostalgic.
Right, I do badly need Mercer spheres, so I'm gonna pick some up for the
I see
last
you
bit
have
of this
been doing
stream.
research. I must say you make for interesting conversation.
Conversation.
Singing together. Communication.
Where is
Our
the
tunes all
sphere?
the strings of the tapestry.
Are you saying this is only the beginning?
In the beginning, there were the words, and the words made the world. The
There it
words
is.
turned into song, open the windows. The song played with instruments, weave the tapestry. A tapestry of
Alright.
temples and shrines.
Got the Mercer sphere, and there's
bones,
another
orchestral
one
harmony,
in close
us,
proximity.
we, ours.
So I need like a ton of these to get upgrades, which I pretty desperately need at this point. My blueprints are getting so large that I regularly use like my entire stockpile of things, concrete especially. So let's pick up that power slug and then track down this sphere. Which, knowing Mercer spheres, it's going to be up here. And up we go. There it is. Alright, there's another Mercer sphere. And now there are none more in the immediate vicinity. Are there any summer sloops in the immediate vicinity? Yes, there are. Kind of close. Kind of a little bit far-ish this way. There it is on this pillar. This one seems to have gotten knocked over. Normally they stand up. Alright. No Mercer spheres, no summer sloop. Obviously there are power slugs everywhere, but who really cares? I guess I'll grab a purple power slug. I am gonna need power shards at some point to... Hello? Alright. The rocks are playing games with me now. Alright. Another purple power slug. I need to actually convert these purple power slugs into shards at some point. There's a Mercer sphere over here. Right here. I'll grab that. And there's another one also very close. Is it going to be directly above me or directly below me? There appears to be directly above me, which is probably too much effort to go grab, but I'll do it anyway. Need to gain some height. How do we best do that? Let's get up on these little... What even are those? Mushrooms or something? They're shaped a lot like mushrooms. But who knows what weird rock formations could be going on this alien planet, so... There's the Mercer sphere over there. And grab that. No Mercer spheres, no summer sloops. Alright, well, I think we're gonna call the stream there for the day. Thanks to everyone for hanging out. We will be playing Magic tomorrow, and then back to Satisfactory the day after that. So yeah, next Satisfactory stream we're probably going to what did I say we were going to do? We're probably going to do both. We're probably going to grab a whole bunch of some Mercer Spheres and Summer Sloops and stuff, and we're also going to start making sure that we have enough production of everything instead of just sort of guessing it. We're going to actually make a proper spreadsheet and do things based on that. So yeah, thanks for hanging out. What's my favorite starter Pokemon? That's a tough question. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I always liked... Oh gosh. How am I just blanking on it? I always liked Chikorita. I like most of the grass ones. Chikorita is cool. Turtwig is great. So yeah, those would be my answers. Some of the grass ones. Alright, so yeah, I'm gonna end the stream there. So yeah, make sure to check me out tomorrow for Magic the Gathering. Otherwise, I